Right, I've got a nice sharp 283 here. I've already suggested there's a little spot here, which is the eye on the left, and now the eye on the right. There she is. Now, how good is that? There's a little bit of depth there, just under the chin, and then I think we'll leave her alone, because one of the things you can do is completely ruin it. Now, what I've done here is I've also preempted, we're going to put a blue dress on the lady. And let's start the ball rolling here. I've used it here to give me a profile for the arm here and there and up under there, but we do need to have some depth in, and you can do that, I would suggest, with the 181. The least colours you can use here, the better it will be. 181 I think will be the colour. Let's spot it in here just underneath there to get a little bit of shadow on that. Now we need it here because there's a shape and a little bit there. I don't think we need any more. I'm just tempted, let me just try this to see. It would be nice to have a little white cuff on there. Oh yes, that works. That means I've got to put one on here too. That's alright. And just a little bit of light on here, and then we can darken that off just a fraction, because the crease in the arm, and we need to have it just a little darker under the hat. Got it? Now the reason I've done that here, because then we can put the blue back in again, because we've got a stopping point. This can go all the way down here. This is not as hard as it looks, as long as you do as I showed you. The blue on that, make that just a little less, and also of course we need a little bit of white in there as well, just to put a bit of shape to the lady. Lovely. Okay. A little bit of light on the top. I've done that already. Now that's good. And this is where you can also bring in the green again. It's a good idea to do it as you go along. I do. It's going to all be adjusted as we go on, but you see the lady's beginning to emerge. Put ochre in there. Lovely. And just a little bit of shape to the bodice. A little bit of blue. And the hand, a little bit of white on the hand, because that's where it's catching the sun, and it will catch it here, but we've got to be careful, we don't want to make it so that it interferes with the white we're going to put on here with the sleeve, which is also going to be travelling around there. A little bit of green, maybe a good idea to put a little bit of lighter green in here as well. Good. And the pinny, I can't think of a better word than that, but it's like an apron really, isn't it, that they have. And that's, I'll use my other white because I want to retain the point. Now I might as well do all of this lady. And we'll be bringing some brown in that in a little while. Good. Let's just put some. I'm going to use ivory here. No. I'm going to use ivory for the handle and the basket. And then we'll be putting colour into that in a minute or two. .283 I'm using here. And a spot of black. Good. And the blue on the, start from there on the dress below the apron. There she is. Now grey, I think I'll use my 230 there. And the 233. And I'm also going to use the ochre, which is the I've lost that. Okay, I've got to go searching for my ochre. I've got to use ochre because it matches and goes with the 233 really well on that. I don't want to put a lighter ochre on, but I've got to go searching for it. But at the same time, I've got to do the basket so I can collect my ochres together. Now there's the ochre, and the ochre on top of the grey, and then we'll have a touch of 181 in there to just give that shadow a little bit of weight. And then we use we use a colour shaper and blend that in. You've always got to remember you've got white to come back into here again, which will give us, you don't want that to be too straight either. That looks good. And then the white goes back. And you can put some folds in it. Good. Now, as I said, we've got an ivory here, and on top of that we want the ochre. Now this is the yellow ochre I'm going to use at the moment because it's a wicker basket. And then back to with a jolly old 182, and that will give us a bit of shadow and shape. Shadow and shape. and also a bit of design too. And 283. There we go, and we want to make a bit of green around it. I think probably a good idea here would be to make that a lighter here, because we can then a bit of green, we can make the blue a little darker then. With our 181. Let's see how that works out. Yeah, that works out well. Um, 175 I'm looking for now. Here it is. We want some dark shadow. Good. A little bit of white. And a little spot of white on the basket too. That just gives it a little contrast. Great. It's a bit scruffy around there, Cole. When it's scruffy, we need to make it a little less so. It might even work with a 179 on here. That's better. Good. A little bit of shadow. A little bit more shadow. I'm using 175 now because that really worked better than the 181 there. And there's a shadow coming from the basket. And I think that looks quite nice. There's a little bit of light hitting the bottom of the dress, and there's some shoes there as well. Now that's going to be hard, isn't it? Well, you know, the best thing to do with shoes is to use maybe a brown and just imply them. You don't have to put them in, you just imply that they're there, especially when a situation like this where it's very dark. Now this gate post here needs to be, and obviously the gates swung inwards, so what we do is we carefully put a few about as far as I can get. In there, and we can just indicate that there's I don't think we can do much more than that.